1, 2, 3, SCA!
Okay, so we're carrying on with our basic takedowns. What we're doing today is the Ouchi Gari. So we did Ouchi Gari last week, which is big outside rig. Ouchi Gari is going to be the inside rig. One thing that's important with these, and it took me a while to get my head around this, is the movement is a circle of my foot. I'm not going forwards and backwards with this one. I'm creating a circle. That circle has power and allows me to move. I'm not much of a dancer, but a lot of this ends up being kind of like dance steps. I've got to be light on my feet and I've got to have an ability to move. So we're going to start off by just looking at the basic throw. And then we're going to look at a couple of setups. So in the basic throw, I'm in my standard setup here, and I'm going to step in with my right foot to the point of the tee. I step in, I bring my left foot up, in and up, and then I make the circle with this foot and I drive. So when I put that together, in and up, drive. Bring it to the ground, base out, going to immediately pass his guard. I don't want to give him a chance to set. So that's my basic move. In reality, if he is defending and alive, I'm very unlikely to just be able to hit this throw. I've got to get him moving to be able to make any of these throws work really well. So one of the ways I can make this work is actually take it off the other foot. I'm going to circle and bring him towards me. When I do that, his natural reaction is to want to pull back. He doesn't want me to just keep dragging him around. So I'm going to use that. I pull him in steps. From here, I step in with my left foot, bring my feet together, and circle, drive. I'm going to do that a little bit faster so you can see the way that that works in a little bit more real time. I bring him, I step, and I dump him in one movement. I've got him moving. I've got him off balance. The final one of these that we looked at changed beautifully with the technique we looked at last week. So in the Ouchi Gari, I step, without you stepping, don't defend the person. Step to the outside, and I come up, and I'm going to come through. The way he's going to defend that is by stepping that foot back. If I just plant this foot, I'm in the place I was at the first step of the last technique, step and kick. So seeing that all together, I go to the outside, he steps, step, bring him down. Chaining it together. Moving on to the ground. Position that's really bad for me. Full mount. In a fight, he's going to posture up and start punching me. Does not like. Don't want to stay here. Me from the bottom, I don't have a lot of ways to attack him. I'm going to try and choke him. He's going to just straight up armbar me. Just laugh at me and armbar me. Don't want that. Okay? So, I got to get out of here. So first things first, one of the first techniques we learn is the upa, up and over. So I'm going to first bump my hips to bring his chest down. You know, if he's just up here with his hands out, I'm going to bump, his hands are going to plant down. I lock his arm into my body, my foot traps his foot. And this is where there's a little bit of a detail on this that I really like. I turn my head to the side and I lift my head all the way up. So now when I drive my hips, I'm going over my shoulder. I get a completely different angle, which takes him over far easier. So coming back and looking at that technique again, in reality, there's a good chance he's going to be down, he's going to be looking for a choke. That already allows me to trap a hand. Second thing to look at, position of his head. In this situation, his head is off to my right. It's very hard for me to upa, even with my head turned, it's hard for me to lift him up and over to this side. I want to go towards the side where his head is. So in this situation, I'm going to have to trap his other arm, turn my head, lift, and drive over. I'm always going to go towards the side where his head is, because that's where the most of his body weight is. What that means is, if he's got, like, people will get tight around your head, and he'll have my head turned this way, and he's driving me down. Now my head's turned this way, I want to turn that way. To upa from here, I'm going to trap this arm. I can't, it's just, I can't go against my neck. I would have to fight, turn my head, get into the position I want. Now I could drive over. Okay? Next technique. The work seat partnership with my upa. Let's start off with you sat up a little bit so we can see what the hands are doing, then you'll fold over. With this one, it's my elbow escape, but I don't like to do just the traditional elbow escape where I just kind of do a hip escape by resting my elbow here. I found it's a good way to just kind of get stuck here and use a lot of energy. I like to put my hands on his hip. I'm picking one side. Hand goes into his hip bone. My wrist and forearm is across his waist. My hand goes to my own hand. I've made a little frame here. Now I am going to kick my left leg straight to the ground. From here, if you bend over, let's get in a more real position. He's over here. From here, I am going to lift up my hips in a bridge, and that's going to allow me to bring this leg out, because he's going to go light on his hips as I lift him up. From this position here, I brace his hip, bring my other leg back, go to my closed guard. Now, partway through that move, I have a different option. He's mounted on me, I block at his hips, I go straight with my leg, I pop my leg out. When I get to here, instead of stepping over and effectively accepting this half guard, I've got an underhook on this side. I'm going to bring my arm up, my shoulder to my shoulder. I'm going to pop out, and from here, I could go up and take the back. I could pull him into me, I could go into chokes, I could go into gift wrap. There's a whole bunch of options for me. So I was saying to the class, at the point where I get to here, if I go to my closed guard, on average in a competition, the next person more likely to score points is this gentleman here. I've got a pretty good guard, I like to fight from the guard, but being completely honest with myself, he is more likely to get to a half guard and get an advantage or get a pass. Let's face it, I just came from mount. He's already passed my guard once. So if I go back to closed guard, I'm going back to something that went wrong earlier. If I'm halfway through this and I have an option, go to his back, 4 points for finishing, that's match over right there. So that's, I'm going to take that over going to closed guard. Now, if he defends with this arm, he blocks me, I lose that underhook, whatever, I'll accept the closed guard. It's way better than being mounted, it's better than being in half guard. But strategically, if I've got a route to his back, I take the route to his back. One other thing that we looked at was just looking a little bit more advanced. When he's mounted on me, if he gets grapevines on me, typically when he has grapevines, he's using this to soften me up and control me. It's hard for him to get a submission. The only one really open is Ezekiel, and I can defend that pretty well by just keeping my hands inside. But I'm not going, if I try to upa out, or if I try to hip escape, these grapevines are going to do him a really good solid way of controlling me. And he's just going to slowly grind me here until all my pressure, yeah, he's started dropping his weight, this sucks. So to get out of these grapevines, there's a couple of things I do. The first and most basic is just kick your leg straight. Kick your leg straight, bring your foot back inside. Kick your leg straight, bring your foot back inside, I'm out of the grapevines. He's now going to work, he's going to try and get him back. So if I time it right, I've got my hands on his hip, he's got his grapevines, I kick that one straight, that's when I go for my escape here. Just before he's got a chance to bring it back. Okay? The other thing that we looked at is, if he's mounted, when he mounts, when he starts looking for a choke, my first thought is defending that choke. Shoulders up, swim inside, control that grip. Okay? I want to stop him getting a solid grip and going for a choke. But as soon as I've got my hands on his hips, down here, and I've got him stretched out, he can get both hands in and go for that choke. I'm kind of not bothered. He can't get the weight on me to finish this choke because I'm blocking his hip away. He needs to get his hip up and towards me to drive that weight. I'm not going to go to sleep here. I could defend that choke all day. I don't want to because it's using a bit of energy, so I'm going to start escaping or start rolling him. But once I've got him stretched out, I've taken this threat away. All the time he's here, this is a huge threat. I don't start messing around with this in here until I've got it defended or I've got him stretched out and blocked. Okay, thank you very much. Great training.
Well, thank you.